Tonight on the America's Mart Football Report, the season isn't winding down as much as spiraling up toward a climax. Either way you think about it, only 68 teams are still in the hunt, including the 4 that remain in 8-man football. Last week, the first round of the playoffs did not disappoint. 8 games decided by a margin of a touchdown or less, including 2 games won on walk-off field goals. What a crushing way for the season to end for Robinson and Mineral Springs. This week, 7 rematches from earlier in the year that pit conference rivals. And in 4A, a rematch of last year's state championship game as Malvern travels to Searcy to take on unbeaten Harding Academy. I'm David Wallace. Over the next half hour, I'll be your guide through the second round. The America's Mart Football Report starts now. What a weekend of sudden death football kicked off the playoffs a week ago. Now the off weeks are over. That is no more buys. Everybody has to put it on the line. The Hootens.com crew is ready to bring you picks and analysis. Barry Grooms will be their front man as usual. Behind the scenes on the production of this show are Bates Yoakum, our producer-editor, and executive producer Thomas Thrash. Let's tee it up with a look at Class 7A, and on Hootens.com, the rankings for the top 10 in 7A stay the same as a week ago, led by number 1, unbeaten Fayetteville, in fact, the only unbeaten team in Class 7A. Bryant, the 7A Central champions, are number 2 after winning 7 straight games. At number 3, you have Conway, followed by Bentonville at 4. Rogers is 5. The Mounties beat North Little Rock last week to open the playoffs. 6 is Fort Smith Southside, having impressed in the first round with a win at Jonesboro. Bentonville West slipped past Fort Smith Northside last week and checks in at number 7. Then you have number 8 Cabot advancing to the quarterfinals after Mercy ruling Harbor. Jonesboro is 9th, finishing the season 5-6, and North Little Rock is also out and ranked number 10. Hootens.com went 3-1 last week, bringing our season total to 78-21. Let's run through this week's picks. Okay, top half of the bracket, we're down to the quarterfinals. Number 6, Fort Smith Southside, traveling to number 1, Fayetteville. Hootens.com likes Fayetteville to stay unbeaten. Second-ranked Bryant is on a roll, and the Hornets play at home against number 5, Rogers. Hootens.com is picking Bryant there. Now to the bottom half of the bracket, where number 3, Conway, welcoming number 7, Bentonville West, and the Wampus Cats are the pick. Number 4, Bentonville is favored at home over number 8, Cabot. All right, Barry, your thoughts on these quarterfinal round games.
David, Southside at Fayetteville is a rematch from Week 6, which Fayetteville won by 2 touchdowns. This one could set up to be another close game. When these two teams met 6 weeks ago, Drake Lindsay had a huge game, threw 5 touchdown passes, but Southside has a dynamic running attack with Isaac Gregory and Amari Tucker. They may be the best running back tandem in the entire state. Throw in quarterback Carter Zimmerman, and this is a dynamic offense. But Fayetteville's unbeaten and at home makes them tough to beat. Rogers at Bryant's also a game we're looking at. The Bryan Hornets may be the favorites to win the 7A championship. Hornets had the week off after that emotional victory over Conway. Should be prepared this week. Rogers just whipped North Little Rock last week by 38 points, and the Mounties put up a ton of points. Bentonville West at Conway. Let's see how Conway bounces back after its first loss of the season. We think they've improved, and it shows tonight. Bentonville West had to just squeeze past Fort Smith Northside last week.
Good enough. Let's roll it over to Class 6A now and run through the Hootens.com rankings as we go to Week 12 in the second round of the playoffs. Number 1, unbeaten Greenwood. The Bulldogs are 10-0. Number 2 is Benton at 9-1. Then you have Little Rock Christian at number 3, followed by Pulaski Academy at 4, Marion at 5. Greenbrier moves up 2 spots to number 6 after beating Searcy in the first round. Mountain Home jumps 3 spots after winning at Little Rock Catholic, and the Bombers are 7th this week. Van Buren is up 4 places to number 8 after shocking the state with a victory at West Memphis. The Blue Devils finished the year 7-4 and dropped 3 positions to number 9. 10th-ranked Little Rock Catholic, last year's Cinderella team, but the Rockets finished this year with a 7-4 record, and they are now done. Let's get to the picks, where on the year, Hootens.com is 85% for Class 6A. The top half of the bracket goes like this. Number 2, Benton, welcoming number 6, Greenbrier. Hootens.com picking the Panthers at home. Number 3, Little Rock Christian will entertain number 8, Van Buren. Christian has won the only 2 meetings in this series, including 58-3 in Week 8 this season. Hootens.com believes the Warriors will get the job done again, and they're favored in this one. Now to the bottom half of the bracket, where number 1 Greenwood is a home favorite over number 7 Mountain Home. Pulaski Academy has to travel, going to the eastern part of the state to Marion, but the Bruins are favored. That's the Hootens.com game of the week. Barry, I'm sure you'll want to talk about that and others as well in 6A.
Well, Greenbrier at Benton. The Benton Panthers are ranked number 2 in the state, no strangers at advancing in the playoffs. The Panthers have made it to the semis or further 3 of the past 5 seasons, and with 16 college players this season on the roster, the Panthers appear poised for another big run. Mountain Home at Greenwood. Don't be deceived. These 2 teams know each other well. Greenwood has won the last 6 meetings over Mountain Home. This is the 3rd time in 4 years these 2 teams have met up in the quarterfinals. And the big one in Class 6A, maybe one of the more competitive games in the entire state, is Pulaski Academy at Marion. Very intriguing. PA has won state championships 8 of the past 9 seasons, but they have to get past a tough Marion team. Patriots trying to make it to the semifinals for the 3rd time in 4 years. Marion puts up 41 points a week behind senior quarterback Ashton Gray. PA relying on defense. In fact, it was the defense that spurred them on to victory last week against El Dorado. The Bruins limited El Dorado to 7 first downs and just 1 of 12 conversions on 3rd down.
All right, David, can't wait for kickoff. Man, it's time for some football. I'm Chad Hooten for America's Car Mart. If you're headed to the game, just remember that America's Car Mart is all in for Arkansas high school football. And when you shop at America's Car Mart, they're all in for you. From purchase to payoff, Car Mart will work with you and your individual situation. It's personal for Car Mart. Just go see for yourself why Car Mart is different from all the rest. You can stay connected by following Car Mart on social media or online at car-mart.com. America's Car Mart, keeping you on the road and good neighbors in our communities. Coming up next, more from the America's Car Mart football studios. David Wallace and the Hootens crew with more rankings, analysis, and predictions next on the America's Car Mart football report.
Not all college ends with a bachelor's degree. There are shorter-term programs that help students get to work in a profession they love. Best of all, Arkansas needs qualified workers in these high-demand fields: healthcare, industry manufacturing, and information technology. There are scholarships such as Arkansas Workforce Challenge and Our Future that will help pay for classes. Apply today at scholarships.adhe.edu.
Okay, I gotta pick up some beef for the cookout. Now what's good?
Let Tony make the call.
Tony Romo? What are you doing in a butcher shop?
Just something I picked up in the off-season. What's up?
I'm on my way to a barbecue. What should I bring?
Steaks, hamburgers, brisket.
Are those my choices?
That's your order. Beef is the best way to make your cookouts extraordinary this summer.
Thanks, Tony.
Another satisfied customer. All right, who's next? Beef. It's what's for dinner. Funded by beef farmers and ranchers.
This ad is courtesy of Beef. It's what'sfordinner.com.
We're back in the America's Car Mart studios. David Wallace with you. America's Car Mart, keeping you on the road. We turn our attention now to Class 5A, where on the season, Hootens.com has picked 85% of the games correct. We'll see how we do this week for the second round of the playoffs. But first, the Hootens.com top 10 and the top 5 remain the same. Little Rock Parkview, the Patriots undefeated on the year at 11-0 and number 1 in 5A. At number 2, you have Pine Bluff. The Zebras beat Nettleton by 20 last week and are 8-2 on the year. Valley View is 10-1, ranked number 3. Then you have Shiloh Christian at 4. Mills at 5. The Comets beat Wynn last week. Number 6, Southside, is in the 5A quarterfinals for the first time in school history. At 7, Hot Springs Lakeside. The Rams moving up 3 places after winning a shootout over Harrison in one of the most even matchups of the first round. A good game there. 8th-ranked Camden Fairview jumps 8 spots into the top 10 after winning at Farmington. Joe T. Robinson drops 1 to number 9 after failing to advance in the playoffs for the first time since 2014. And Farmington, the 5A West champions, check in at number 10. The Cardinals lost in the first round, finished the season 7-4. All right, let's get to the picks in the top half of the bracket in Class 5A. Number 5, Mills, goes to number 1, Little Rock Parkview. These former conference rivals have played consistently for the past 40 years. This time, Hootens.com picking the top-ranked Patriots to prevail. Number 6, Southside at home, a favorite over number 8, Camden Fairview. In the bottom half of the bracket, quarterfinal round games have number 4, Shiloh Christian, going to number 3, Valley View. Hootens.com likes the Saints on the road. Number 2, Pine Bluff, is a home favorite over Hot Springs Lakeside, the number 7 team this week. Okay, Barry, what about your thoughts on those quarterfinal round games?
Well, David, the big game is up in northeast Arkansas, and it's number 4 Shiloh Christian at number 3 Valley View. These teams have never met. Shiloh Christian, a perennial powerhouse in the state of Arkansas, makes the 4.5-hour trip into northeast Arkansas. Last week, Shiloh looked sharp. The Saints scored on 7 of their opening 10 possessions and just ran Hot Springs to death on the Field of Champions. Had over 500 yards of offense in that game behind Bo Williams and the freshman quarterback Cole Creighton. And for Valley View, the Blazers had to rally past Maumelle last week. They trailed in the second quarter before pulling away for a 24-point win. It was the same guy who's been doing it all season. Carson Turley came up huge for the Blazers. Had nearly 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game, but just don't think he's enough to get past a talented Shiloh Christian team. Camden Fairview at Southside is intriguing. Fairview last week upset 5A West champion Farmington by 14 points, and the Cardinals ran for 430 yards in that game and attempted only 8 passes. Same scenario this week against a Southside team that loves to run the football. Southside last week got past Joe T. Robinson 20-17. Joel Busby kicked 2 field goals, including the walk-off game winner as time expired. This one should be a game that goes right down to the wire once again.
Some good second-round games expected for sure. All right, we'll go to Class 4A when this America's Car-Mart football report continues.
Okay, David, sounds like some great games this week. I'm Chad Hooten with Hooten's Arkansas Football for America's Car-Mart. And just like all the hard-working high school football players, the folks at Car-Mart work hard to keep you on the road. Car-Mart knows that buying a vehicle is a big decision, and that's why they take selling you a vehicle very seriously. When you shop at Car-Mart, they're there for you. Car-Mart cares about you and your vehicle ownership. You know what? You can save time at the dealership by starting your car buying journey online at car-mart.com. It's America's Car-Mart, keeping you on the road. That's their pledge to you. And coming up next, more from the America's Car-Mart Football Report Studios. David and the Hootens gang with analysis of more matchups and those crystal ball predictions. Next on the America's Car-Mart Football Report.
Going to college may not look the same as it has before, but you have the power to move forward. There are over 1,000 hands-on or online programs in Arkansas designed to put you to work, and they qualify for state scholarships and grants. Healthcare, education, computer technology, industry technology, and more. Take your next step forward. Visit explorearcareers.com with instructions about how to apply.
We're back on the America's Car-Mart Football Report, and we're glad you're with us. Let's go to Class 4A now, where the top 9 on Hootens.com remain the same from a week ago, and the top 3 boast identical 11-0 records. At number 1, Harding Academy. The Wildcats are facing the team that beat them for last year's state title, but they're clearly the team to beat this time. Number 2 is Warren, also at 11-0, followed by Elkins, headed for a showdown next week with Harding Academy. Well, perhaps they would have the home field advantage in that case. We'll see how it works out. Number 4 is Arkadelphia at 6-3. Then you have Rivercrest At number 5, the Colts blanked Mina in an impressive performance in the first round. At 6 is Malvern, the defending state champions. Underdogs this week, however. 7 is Ozark. Then you have DeWitt, which just survived Pocahontas 29-28. Perhaps that was the game of the week in the first round in all classes. At 9 is Nashville after eking out a win over Crossit, now traveling to number 10, CAC, coming off of a first-round bye and hosting a playoff game for the first time in a few years. All right, Hootens.com has picked 84% correct on the year, 11 of 14 last week in Class 4A. Let's get to this week's picks in the top half of the bracket. And by the way, this is the first of the classifications that will play its championship game on the second weekend of December. Another round to go for these bottom 3 classifications. In the top half of the bracket, number 4, Arkadelphia welcoming Mayflower. Hootens.com picks the Badgers at home. Number 5, Rivercrest is a home favorite over Gravett. Hootens.com likes second-ranked Warren and home over Bauxite. Number 7, Ozark welcomes Lincoln. This is a rematch from Week 6, which Ozark won 44-6, and Hootens.com picking the Billies to do it again. In the bottom half of the bracket now, number 9, Nashville going to Mustang Mountain, where number 10, CAC awaits, and Hootens.com picking the Mustangs at home. Number 3, Elkin should make it to 12-0. Hootens.com picking them to dispatch Monticello, that game at Elkins. Number 1, Harding Academy faces number 6, Malvern. This is that state championship rematch. Malvern won last year. This time, Hootens.com picking the Wildcats at home. And number 8, DeWitt, another home favorite as they entertain Ashdown. Okay, Barry.
In the game of the week, David, in Class 4A, maybe the entire state, number 6 Malvern at number 1 Harding Academy. These two teams played in the state championship game last year. Malvern won it 64-39 in a driving rainstorm. But Harding Academy has revenge on its mind with a more veteran team this time around. Owen Miller, he's a junior quarterback now. Last week, Owen put up almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns in the first half against Gentry. And Harding has the best defensive player in the state. And that's Wyatt Simmons, the senior linebacker. And he had 9 tackles and a sack last week against Gentry. Malvern counters with the best running back in the state, Jalen Dupree. He's over 2,000 yards for the season.
Good games there. That'll do it for 4A. We come back with Class 3A, Class 2A as we round out this America's Car Mart Football Report.
All right, David, getting a little closer to kickoff. I'm Chad Hooten for America's Car Mart, keeping you on the road. It's America's Car Mart, and they will do all they can to keep you on the road. America's Car Mart makes it easy to buy. They offer affordable, quality vehicles, low down payments, plus optional service contracts to offer a little peace of mind. And if you're credit challenged, America's Car Mart is the place for you. Affordable used vehicles with low down payments, flexible payment plans. It's America's Car Mart, keeping you on the road. And coming up next, it's more of the America's Car Mart Football Report.
Not all college ends with a bachelor's degree. There are shorter-term programs that help students get to work in a profession they love. Best of all, Arkansas needs qualified workers in these high-demand fields: healthcare, industry manufacturing, and information technology. There are scholarships such as Arkansas Workforce Challenge and Our Future that will help pay for classes. Apply today at scholarships.adhe.edu.
Hey everyone, it's Tony Romo, and I'm here to remind you that it's grilling season. And how do you make those summer cookouts extraordinary? With beef. Whether you're slow roasting ribs or throwing a couple of hamburgers on the grill, some top sirloin kebabs, or, wait, what was I saying again? Oh yeah, set your grilling season on fire this year with beef. Beef, it's what's for dinner. For more ideas, visit beefitswhatsfordinner.com. Funded by beef farmers and ranchers.
This ad is courtesy of Beef. It's whatsfordinner.com.
Let's head to the fourth quarter of this America's Car Mart Football Report. We check in now on Class 3A. And Hootens.com's rankings begin with number 1 Boonville, followed by 10-1 Prescott, then Harmony Grove, Washita County at number 3, coming off a first-round bye. Charleston is 4th. Salem, another team that got a first-round bye, is unbeaten at number 5. Hoxie, another unbeaten team, 11-0, and the Mustangs are 6th this week. 7th-ranked Mansfield got its first playoff win since 2018 last week. Number 8 is Glen Rose, followed by Walnut Ridge at 9. 9, and 10th-ranked Bismarck, which hosted its first playoff game since 1996 last Friday, beating Hackett. All right, let's get to the picks. We got 12 of 14 correct in the first round. We go to the top half of the bracket where number 3, Harmony Grove, Washita County, welcomes Newport. Harmony Grove is riding a 6-game winning streak and has one of the state's best in Caleb Johnson. Hootens.com says that's enough. HGOC is the favorite there. Number 1, Boonville welcomes Osceola in a rematch of last year's quarterfinals. Boonville won that game 35-20, and Hootens.com is picking the Bearcats to take this one as well. Number 8, Glen Rose welcoming Perryville. Could be a very close game, but Hootens.com likes the Beavers of Glen Rose. And number 9, Walnut Ridge at home against Junction City. Another close game here, but Hootens.com picking the Bobcats at home. Now to the bottom half of the bracket where number 5, Salem, is unbeaten and welcoming Jesseville. Salem should get this win. Number 7, Mansfield travels to number 6, Hoxie. Hoxie is unbeaten, and Hootens.com believes the Mustangs will stay that way. Prescott plays host to Fordyce. Now, Prescott beat Fordyce 2 months ago in a non-conference game, so a rematch here, and Prescott is the pick again. 10th-ranked Bismarck travels to the western part of the state to number 4, Charleston. That's the Hootens.com game of the week in Class 3A, and Hootens.com is picking Charleston. For more on that game, let's turn to Barry Grooms.
David, let's talk about Mansfield Hoxie. On paper, should be a thriller. Hoxie beat Melbourne 41-6 last week. Caden Glenn led the way. He completed all 7 of his pass attempts for 265 yards and 4 touchdowns. Also ran for a touchdown in that game. The Mustangs 11-0 on the season. Mansfield, though, played really good on offense. Just put up 55 points last week against Centerpoint. Tyler Turnipseed and Daniel Burton led that offense. Each of them ran for more than 100 yards. This one goes right down to the wire, but Hootens.com thinks Hoxie gets the win. Bismarck at Charleston should be a good one. Bismarck last week beat Hackett. That was the Lions' first home playoff game since 1996. Ben Keithley, the junior quarterback, showed out, played really well, and Preston Hughes had 2 interceptions on defense. Meanwhile, Charleston is the defending 3A champions. Reese Mercheka playing extremely well. He scored 6 touchdowns in that first-round playoff victory over Barton, and he's the reason that Hootens.com thinks Charleston gets the victory this week.
All right, that wraps up Class 3A. Let's move on now to the Class 2A rankings on Hootens.com. The top-ranked team, the Carlisle Bison, followed by Bigelow, 11-0 on the year. Bigelow ranked number 2. East Poinsett County is 3rd, followed by Murfreesboro, up 1 to number 4. Conway Christian jumps up 2 spots to number 5 after the Eagles beat Poen a week ago. Desark is up 2 after rallying past England, and the Desark Eagles are 6th. Mark Tree is up 1 to number 7. Then you have Hector at 8, moving up 6 spots after winning at Mineral Springs. Hazen, the defending state champions, dropped their first-round game and end the season in the 9th position. Number 10, Mineral Springs, dropped 4 spots. The Hornets spent most of the season at number 1, but they lost their last 2 games and are now ranked 10th. Hootens.com on the year, 127 correct, only 26 wrong in Class 2A. That's 83%. Let's get to this week's picks in the top half of the bracket. Number 5, Conway Christian. At number 3, East Poinsett County. Hootens.com likes EPC to take that one. Number 1, Carlisle at home is a favorite over number 8, Hector. Now to the bottom half of the bracket where number 4 Murfreesboro welcomes number 7 Mark Tree. Good matchup here. Hootens.com likes the Rattlers of Murfreesboro. And Bigelow will entertain number 6 Desark. Bigelow the number 2 team. This is the Class 2A game of the week on Hootens.com, and the pick is Bigelow. Barry, more on that one, please.
Got a couple big ones here, David. Desark at Bigelow. Desark led by senior quarterback Cash Flanagan. He ran for over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns last week, threw a touchdown pass in that come-from-behind victory over England. Bigelow, though, runs the ball really well. That's going to give Desark problems, and that's why Hootens.com picks Bigelow. Conway Christian at EPC. Last week, Conway Christian rallied from a halftime and third quarter deficit to beat Poen by 7 points. Jaron Thomas, the junior quarterback, he passed for over 200 yards and ran for 2 touchdowns, but he's got to do more than that. EPC puts up lots of points with quarterback Cooper Argo and senior running back Dennis Gaines. And David, last week, the surprise in the state had to be Hector beating Mineral Springs, the formerly number 1 ranked team in the state. Now, can the Wildcats beat another number 1 ranked team in Carlisle? In that victory over Mineral Springs, Jackson Taylor had 195 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Oh, and he kicked the game-winning 40-yard field goal in the final seconds to lead that victory. But Carlisle's defense shut out McCrory 16-0 last week, and the defense is the reason that Carlisle wins this game.
All right, David, getting me ready for some football. I'm Chad Hooten of Hooten's Arkansas Football for America's Car Mart. Did you know, just like this America's Car Mart football report is on more than 20 stations around the state, Car Mart serves over 20 communities in Arkansas. They're a different kind of car dealership. Their commitment to service and excellence is second to none. And when you buy from Car Mart, they do everything they can to get you into a quality used vehicle and keep you on the road until payoff. They offer shorter contracts, lower interest rates, and low down payments, a flexible payment plan. Car Mart will work for you. Check out some of their vehicles online or start your buying experience at car-mart.com. It's America's Car Mart. And coming up next, more of the America's Car Mart Football Report.
Going to college may not look the same as it has before, but you have the power to move forward. There are over 1,000 hands-on or online programs in Arkansas designed to put you to work, and they qualify for state scholarships and grants. Healthcare, education, computer technology, industry technology, and more. Take your next step forward. Visit explorearcareers.com with instructions about how to.
All right, that'll wrap it up for this edition of the America's Car Mart Football Report, and that'll do it for us for the season, at least on the radio side. Remember, Hootens.com will continue to keep you updated with all the football content you can handle right through the championship games and on through the offseason as well. If you go there now, Hootens.com that is, you'll find a video feature on the First Community Bank Scholar Athlete of the Week. This week it's Southside Southerner H-back/defensive end Isaac Wallace. Get scores of all the games as they happen on the high school scoreboard, powered by First Security, exclusively at Hootens.com. My thanks to Bates Yoakum for his good work all year long. Same for Barry Grooms, whose expertise is without peer anywhere in the state. I'm David Wallace. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you at the stadium.